Might be the best hamburger I've ever had in my life.
The film begins in 1954, centering on Ray Kroc, a struggling milkshake machine salesman attempting to pitch his product to drive-in restaurants across the United States. He's visibly frustrated with how slow and disorganized most food joints are. Service is inefficient, orders are often wrong, and overall quality is lacking. Even though Ray and his wife Ethel have managed to save enough to live comfortably in Arlington Heights, Illinois, Ray remains unsatisfied. He's ambitious and eager to build something meaningful for himself, something bigger. One day, after a string of rejections, Ray contacts his assistant Gio Martino and learns that a restaurant in California has placed a surprising order: 6 milkshake machines. Skeptical, Ray calls to verify the order, thinking it must be an error, only to discover they actually need 8 machines. Intrigued, Ray notes the address: a restaurant located in San Bernardino, Southern California. Curious about what kind of establishment could possibly need that many mixers, he decides to see it for himself. Upon arriving, Ray finds a bustling walk-up eatery called McDonald's. The place is nothing like he's seen before. Lines of customers move quickly, food is delivered almost instantly, and everything comes in disposable packaging. Fascinated, he orders a meal and is shocked by how fast and efficient the entire experience is. The convenience and cleanliness impress him, as does the cheerful, family-friendly vibe. While eating outside, Ray strikes up a conversation with Mac McDonald, one of the restaurant's co-owners. Pleased by Ray's enthusiasm, Mac offers him a tour of the kitchen. Inside, Ray is blown away by the innovative layout and custom tools the team uses to maximize speed and minimize waste. Each burger is made in just 30 seconds thanks to their system. Later, Ray is introduced to Dick McDonald, who is busy experimenting with the ideal temperature for frying potatoes. Since the restaurant is too hectic for a proper conversation, Ray invites the brothers out for dinner to learn more. Over dinner, the McDonald brothers share their journey. They originally moved to Hollywood hoping to work in film, but ended up running a theater in Glendora. When the Great Depression hit, they were forced to shut down. Pivoting, they opened a small hot dog and juice stand in Arcadia, but due to low foot traffic, they relocated to San Bernardino. Using limited funds, they retrofitted a truck and set up a mobile stand, eventually turning it into a barbecue drive-in with a 27-item menu. At first, the drive-in thrived, but problems emerged: unreliable staff, delayed service, and an unruly customer base. Realizing that their most profitable items were burgers, fries, and soda, they decided to simplify. They eliminated car hops, ditched the drive-in model, and created a walk-up restaurant instead. Using disposable materials to cut costs, they streamlined the kitchen and focused on speed. To perfect their system, they mapped out kitchen operations on a tennis court using chalk, refining the layout until every movement was optimized. Despite their efforts, the change wasn't immediately embraced. Customers didn't like the self-service concept or the paper packaging. But over time, persistence paid off. McDonald's became the most popular eatery in town. Inspired, Ray spends the night restless, convinced the concept has potential far beyond San Bernardino. The next day, he suggests that the brothers franchise the business nationwide. However, they explain they've tried franchising before, but maintaining consistent quality proved too difficult. During their conversation, Ray notices a sketch on the wall, a design Dick created for a franchise concept in Phoenix. Intrigued, Ray visits Phoenix and sees the now-defunct franchise, complete with its iconic golden arches. Rather than discourage him, the sight fuels Ray's determination to try again. Back home, Ray shares his excitement with Ethel, describing the cutting-edge system he saw. But Ethel isn't thrilled. She prefers their quiet, stable life and doesn't want to gamble their future on a risky venture. Tension rises between them when Ray asks for her support. Still, Ray can't shake the idea. He returns to McDonald's, hoping to convince the brothers to let him take another shot at franchising. Dick is hesitant, worried about the toll it might take on Mac's health, as past franchising attempts had left them both drained. Eventually, after careful thought, the brothers agree to let Ray lead the franchising, but with conditions. They retain complete control over operations and final approval rights on any changes. A contract is signed, with Ray eagerly agreeing to the terms. Ray then returns to Illinois, ready to open his first franchise location. But securing funding proves difficult. Investors are wary, so Ray takes out a loan using his home as collateral. Without telling Ethel, he begins waiting for approval on design changes he proposed for the franchise setup. But the process is slow. Frustrated, he contacts the brothers, only to learn that Dick has sent the plans to his architect for review, making sure everything meets safety standards and regulations, a delay Ray hadn't expected. Ray Kroc becomes increasingly frustrated as he realizes just how much of his personal savings he's put into launching the first McDonald's franchise. Eventually, construction begins on his location, and Ray is determined to replicate everything exactly the way it worked in San Bernardino. However, tensions start to rise when Ray tries to bring in extra revenue by featuring Coca-Cola branding on the menu boards. To him, it's a smart marketing move, but Dick McDonald strongly disagrees, arguing that such commercialization goes against the values on which they built the brand. Despite the disagreements, the franchise opens successfully. Ray is excited and closely monitors everything to maintain the original standards. But his wife Ethel remains doubtful about the entire venture. Trying to make amends, Ray promises to take her out to the country club. At the club, Ray presents the idea of opening McDonald's franchises to the wealthy members. While some mock him at first, many end up intrigued and eager to invest. With the brothers' approval, new franchise deals are made, though they remain uneasy about how consistent quality can be maintained across so many outlets. Ray visits one of the franchises in Schaumburg, only to find it in terrible condition, trash everywhere, no welcoming atmosphere, and poor quality burgers. Furious, he confronts the franchise owner and shows him the stale food. Realizing these franchisees don't share his standards, Ray pulls out of the country club and begins looking for new types of investors. Ethel is furious, saying she knew this would happen from the start. But Ray's luck changes when he meets Leonard Rosenblatt, who believes in hard work and determination. Ray helps Leonard open a franchise in Waukegan, one that sticks to the McDonald's system and maintains high standards. This experience teaches Ray that middle-class franchisees are far more reliable. They follow the model strictly and care about its success. Soon, franchises begin popping up all across the Midwest, including Dayton, Madison, Milwaukee, Grand Rapids, Kenosha, and Decatur. Ray even starts branding himself as the founder of McDonald's, a move that irritates the McDonald brothers, especially since this is only the second official franchise. While attending the grand opening of a Minnesota location, Ray dines at an upscale restaurant and meets Raleigh Smith, who offers him an opportunity to open a McDonald's in Minneapolis. That night, Ray meets Raleigh's wife Joan, and there's an immediate spark between them. The two share a musical moment at the piano, hinting at a future connection. Ray sets his sights on expanding further into the Midwest, but he hits a financial wall. His 1.4% cut of the profits from the McDonald's agreement isn't enough. Frustrated, he calls Dick to ask for better terms, but the brothers refuse to renegotiate. Things worsen when Ray realizes that storing real ice cream for milkshakes is draining profits. Feeling desperate, he visits Joan and Raleigh's business. Joan suggests using a powdered milkshake mix, which tastes the same but is far cheaper. Ray presents the idea to Dick, but once again, it's rejected. While trying to secure another loan, Ray meets a young financial expert named Harry Sonneborn. After reviewing the company's finances, Sonneborn suggests a game-changing idea. Instead of just focusing on food service, Ray should treat McDonald's as a real estate company. He should buy land, then lease it to franchisees. That way, Ray can create a new revenue stream outside the brothers' control. The strategy works. Ray's income grows rapidly, and he eventually renames his company Franchise Realty Corporation. When Dick questions him about it, Ray claims it's a completely separate entity from McDonald's and outside their agreement. Flush with new success, Ray finally tells Ethel he wants a divorce. He offers her everything, except any stake in McDonald's. With new lawyers on board, Ray begins laying the groundwork to break free from the brothers' grip entirely. The McDonald brothers are stunned when they receive official documents listing Ray as president of McDonald's Corporation. Dick calls Ray, furious, but Ray coldly responds that with his growing fortune, he can keep them tied up in legal battles indefinitely. Despite being the original founders, the brothers simply don't have the resources to fight back. The stress takes its toll on Mac, who ends up hospitalized after suffering a diabetic episode. Ray visits him with flowers and a letter containing a blank check. He wants to buy them out. Realizing they have no other option, the brothers agree to a $2.7 million buyout, the rights to their original San Bernardino restaurant, and a 1% cut of future profits annually. Ray agrees to everything, except the royalty. He offers that as a verbal promise, sealed with a handshake. Left with no choice, the brothers accept. Later, Dick confronts Ray in a restroom, asking why, if he wanted the business so badly, he didn't just create something similar on his own. Ray calmly explains that such an idea wouldn't have worked. The true power of the brand lies in its name, McDonald's. The brothers are forced to rename their original restaurant to The Big M. And to make things worse, Ray opens a brand new McDonald's location just across the street, eventually driving them out of business. The story concludes in 1970. Ray, now married to Joan, is seen rehearsing a speech in his grand mansion. In it, he credits all his success to one word: persistence, echoing the motivational record that once inspired him years ago. In the film's closing notes, we learn that the original San Bernardino McDonald's was eventually outshined and shut down by Ray's newer location. The 1% royalty promised to the brothers was never honored. Had Ray kept his word, each brother would have earned around $200 million per year.